Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. How are my friends doing? How are my Politics Done Right posse doing today? I trust everybody is doing just fine. We're going to have a great show for you today. We have likely one of the worst things that has happened in a long time. Well, that's not completely true, right? Because if we want to be technical about it, the big bad bill, big beautiful bill, as they like to call it, did a whole lot of damage to a whole lot of people, or will do a lot of damage to a whole lot of people. But last night, something that I lived on from the time I came to this country, NPR and PBS defunded by the government. It's not like, however, these guys didn't see the writing on the wall over the last several years, unlike stations like KPFT, who for a long time have not gotten a penny from the government, right? Even though we should be getting, but because of certain things, we hadn't gotten it at KPFT. But PBS and NPR, 30% of their budget or so was gotten from the government, something that's really needed and something the government, we the people, should invest in. In Alaska, some of the emergency signals come directly from the public radio. Now they are defunded. So just like we had Republicans dereliction of duty in Texas as the Guadalupe murdered a whole lot of our beautiful children and adults, so with the defunding of PBS and NPR, will do the same. The thing about it is that the budget had already been written and the money had already been given, and now last night they passed a bill that said we are taking back the money. I want you guys to think about that. There was a time that when that signatures meant something, contracts meant something. Yeah, I know. It never meant anything for the Native Americans. It never meant anything for all those who signed contracts with the United States. Never made anything for Iran that we signed a treaty with them and then went against the treaty. So I guess we are just fulfilling what we do: break treaties, break agreements. Things are not rest in soul. I mean, things are not, whatever we sign, we cannot feel free or believe that it's there to stay. What we are seeing in the dysfunction of this government, what we are seeing right now, is a government where contracts mean nothing, the word means nothing, and people can always say politicians always lie. That's true, but they lie with a certain amount of distinguishment. They made at least they made it at least seem like, well, the reason we lied is because they had a reason. Now none of that matters. I don't know if Americans understand how badly Donald Trump has corrupted the political system, not only in the United States but around the world. Because at least we could simulate in the past that we were trustworthy. Now look, anybody who read American history understood that as long as that we only held on to treaties as long as we were okay with it, and that when we were not okay, we will break the treaties. The thing about it is we were okay most of the times, so treaties stood. But now Not even that matters. Anyway, welcome aboard to my great audience. Welcome aboard. Let me get to the chat. Welcome aboard AVQ number one in the house. El Señor Michael Rudnett from Brooklyn, New York. Patrick Magner from Houston, Texas says meow, meow, meow. Michael, and let's see, we also have in the house Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. We have in the house Lee the Bearcat. Lee the Bearcat is from Austin, Texas. Joanne is here in the mornings at what would be at her time 4 in the mornings for our morning show, and she's here in the afternoon. Love you, Joanne from Los Angeles, California. We also have in the house Yvette Avery Herod, our UPS beauty, who is going to win that election. Hey, how's that election going, Yvette Avery Herod? How's that election going? For the she is our. We want her to win the Teamsters presidents and local. I don't remember the local number in Atlanta, Georgia. You better win it, girl. May Wood from Long Beach, California. How are you, May Wood? We have Jay Ray from Houston, Texas. Jay Ray, my buddy here in Houston. Welcome aboard. Who have I missed in the first chat? Carl Cox from Riverdale, Georgia. How you doing? Is it Riverdale, Georgia? Yeah, Riverdale, Georgia. Lisa Blair, Atlanta, Georgia. Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York. How you doing, Bridge? Great to see you here, beautiful. All right, we also have John A. Davis. John, I saw you this morning. How you doing, John? John Kelsey, Charlene Cristiano, Susan Jagoda, March KJ. March says, hello, Egberto. Hello, March. Thank you for being here. Jewel Starzinger, Mike Abrams, Susan Stockton, and Dolly. We've got a show for you. Now, I want to start. I want to start with what occurred in the Judiciary Committee today. First of all, uh, let me tell you that we are about to put into the judgeship, into the district court. Guy's name is Elam Bovey. Terrible guy, unethical guy, corrupt guy, doesn't believe in the rule of law kind of a guy. And they're about to put this guy in a district court judge. And the rumor has it that the reason they want to get him there is because he will be on a fast track to the Supreme Court in the event that Donald Trump has another person to put on there. Well, we know Jackson is pretty young, so it's not likely to be her unless something horrendous happens. And we also know that Kagan is still fairly young, but we also know that Sotomayor has diabetes, and you know that can be tricky sometimes. But the problem is, one of the crookedest Supreme Court judges on the court, who is Clarence Thomas, I think he wants to retire. He wants to take advantage of all that free money he has made over the years by selling the court to the highest bidder. So he may be on his way out, and Alito, we never know as well. So they just want to make sure that they have the channels of crazy right wing evil judges ready to take up the spot that these guys have. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of them retired before Trump leaves to give Trump a chance to appoint another person, because only Trump has the pelotas to appoint somebody as bad as Bovey. I don't think any other respectable president would try to appoint a Bovey, but this one likely will. All right, folks. If you're just here now, remember to tell your people in tell your people in Substack, hey, let's go ahead and watch Politics Done Right now. I saw in the Egberto Off the Record newsletter. And for those of you on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere else, post it, tweet it. What is the other one that we use? Which is the other one? Blue Sky it, Twitch it. Let people know we're here. Let people know we're busy doing the important work. Anyway, Hola, Bridge. Let me go ahead and give you the first video. This is what occurred in the judiciary today. And one of the reasons I did the length of Cory Booker's speech is I want to show you how tone deaf Republicans in the Senate have become, how tone deaf they've become, how uncaring they've become. But what Cory Booker was able to do is lay it out for everybody to hear. So here we go. Anthony Lofranco de Laguna Beach, California. Welcome aboard. So here that is, folks, and we'll go ahead and play that now. Democrats walked out of the Judiciary Committee today, and justifiably so. The war erupted as they refused to allow people who would speak up about under oath about the problems with Emil Bovey. Emil Bovey, the Republicans or Donald Trump has nominated him to be a district court of appeals judge. And that is unacceptable because this guy has a checkered past. This guy is a sad representative of the judiciary. Now, he advocated to define court orders. As a DOJ whistleblower, former DOJ lawyer Edis Ruvini testified that during a March 2025 meeting about deportations via the Alien Enemies Act, Bovey told DOJ lawyers to potentially ignore federal court directives, reportedly saying that they might need to tell the courts to F you. He released emails and text message a backup of Ruvini's account, which sparked a federal judge to order immigrant flights turned around and contemplate contempt of court. Now, he's also responsible for dropping charges. Remember, he dropped the charges on Mayor Eric Adams for a deal with Donald Trump. He's also purging January 6th prosecuted and other FBI personnel. This guy is just a guy that completely doesn't deserve to be a judge. I want you to watch Cory Booker and Sheldon Whitehouse, and then after they had their piece imploring that the Judiciary Committee allowed them to bring the case against Bovey, and not following the rules, they went ahead anyway. But check out what Cory Booker had to say and what happened as these guys walked out.
Even with multiple credible backstopped allegations of prosecutive misconduct by this individual before us, we are become a partisan rubber stamp. Neither the committee nor the judiciary is well served by our learned and servile helplessness. I yield back.
I will now go to voting because we have competing markups and other committees and people have to leave here soon. We'll go to Bovey's nomination. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, point of personal privilege.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, according to Rule 4 of the committee, we have the right to continue to debate this nomination.
No.
I'm invoking Rule 4 of the committee. We have the right to debate this nomination.
You're out of order.
I'm seconding
Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Booker's demand for a vote on his request to hear from the whistleblower.
Mr. Chairman, you should at least acknowledge my Rule 4 point of order.
You're out of order.
I don't understand this. What are you afraid of about even debating this?
by proxy.
Putting things on the record, hearing from every senator, dear God, that's what our obligations are. It's to state our reasons for debate. At least address the Rule 4 point of order that we're calling. There's no need to rush this. What are we afraid of? We're not pressing for the 2-hour rule like you all did when you were in the minority. We're simply asking for a credible amount of time to air our concerns before the vote. We respect each other in this committee. We respect the understanding that we have things to say. But yet we're doing this in a way that makes no sense to me. And it makes no sense to me because we're not trying to do things like force the committee to close or force a 2-hour rule. This is about understanding that people on this side have a responsibility to state their issues.
You're out of order?
Mr. Sir, you could call me out of order because this is out of order. This undermines the basic decency of this committee. Yes, maybe overrule a Rule 4, but at least address the Rule 4 point of order that senators We're elected to debate issues and debate nominees. This is absolutely insane.
Hey,
What is the rush? Sir, I am interrupting because you're interrupting a regular point of order. At least address my point of order. I have the right to do that by the rules of this committee. If you want to overrule the rules of committee, then do so. But this is not in any way in order. You are obligated to address a point of order according to the rules of this committee. You could overrule me by a Senate vote. You're violating your own rules. The parliamentarian has been clear about this. The parliamentarian has been clear. You could overrule the point of order I'm doing, but you have to follow the precedents and procedures of this committee. This is outrageous that you're not allowing senators to have their fair say before a controversial nominee is being done. This is unbelievable. This is unjust. This is wrong. It is the further deterioration of this committee's integrity. With a person like this, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of hearing from Chris Coons? From hearing from one of my colleagues? From hearing from Adam Schiff? What is the fear here? Have at least the decency to have a vote on my point of order regarding Rule 4. I have respect for you, Mr. Chairman. We've served together for more than a decade, but this is outrageous. This is unacceptable. This is wrong. It is wrong. And why? Why? What is the rush to take another half hour to listen to people? What is the rush? What are we afraid of, Mr. Chairman? What are we afraid of? I do not understand why senators can't debate a nominee as we've done when both sides have been in the majority to take the time. What is the thing that you are so afraid of from hearing from my Senate colleagues? This is a violation of the precedents of this committee. We're not trying some stunt here to try to force a 2-hour rule like you all did when you were in the minority. We just want to be heard before a controversial vote. Sir, this is wrong, and you know it. You are a person of integrity. How could you be doing this? At least have a vote on my point of order. Sir, with all appeals to your decency, with all appeals to your integrity, with all appeals to past jurisdiction and past precedent, why are you doing this? This is outrageous.
This is a kangaroo court. That's all we have here,
This
Mr.
is
Chairman.
wrong. To violate your own rules without going by the mandates of the parliamentarian. This is unbelievable. There's a way to do this. If you want to force this through, if you want to ram this through, there's a way to do it in accordance to the rules as spelled out by the parliamentarian. It is simple. It is clear. There's a pathway to achieve what you're trying to achieve. But sir, this lacks decency. It lacks decorum. It shows that you do not want to simply hear from your colleagues. This is absolutely wrong. And sir, this is to me one of those moments where we are not showing common respect for each other on both sides. I have sat here when we were in the majority and listened to my colleagues' arguments, listened to their passionate statements, and then we voted. This is not that. This is us simply trying to rush through one of the most controversial nominees we've had under this presidential administration. Sir, God bless America. You are a good man. You are a decent man. Why are you doing this? What is Donald Trump saying to you that are making you do something which is violating the decorum of this committee, the rules of this committee, the decency and the respect that we have each other to at least hear each other out? I've sat through so many long speeches of my colleagues, heard their objections, listened with sincerity to try to see what their arguments are. But we are not doing that. Sir, this is wrong. And you know it. There are some people on this committee who are the least firebrand people, and they've walked out. Some of the least controversial people in the Senate, some of the people that worked the hardest to find bipartisan common ground have just walked out of this committee. And you don't even seem to care, but I know you do. I know your heart, Senator Grassley. This is wrong. I know the kind of person you are, and you know this is wrong. This is not necessary. What is another half an hour to allow senators to be heard? It's what the Constitution mandates. It's the ideals of the United States Senate. The world's most deliberative body should take a decent amount of time to deliberate. But here we're not doing that. Here we are jamming this through with some sense of false urgency. It's one thing not to hear from whistleblowers.
The
It's another thing not
nomination
to
of
hold
Ann Lee
another hearing,
Gaylord Moe
but to
will
not
be
even
replaced
allow my colleagues
on a favorable
to have their
vote.
moment to
Now we
speak
go
against
to
this justice.
Jordan Pratt.
It's just wrong. And I know you know this. I know you know this. The only time this rule has ever been overturned by both parties was done when one minority was trying to pull some stunt to stop the committee from hearing. This is not that. This is not the 2-hour rule. This is a basic element of the ideals of this committee, sir. It is the basic understanding of having debate and deliberation. It's a basic understanding of we can listen to each other even if we disagree, that we should have time and space and a forum to listen. Sir, this is just wrong in every way. It is wrong in every single way. This is an abuse of power. It's an undermining of the well-being and the integrity of this Senate and this committee that I for so long, I've been so honored to be a part of. This is wrong, sir, and I join with my colleagues in leaving. This is a sham.
Vote,
this is wrong.
We'll report
We're better than this.
Pratt to
Now, let me tell you, folks, Cory Booker is likely the nicest senator out there. And I like the way he addressed Grassley. Grassley, you are a better man than that. But of course, you've been overtaken by Donald Trump. The cancer of Donald Trump is ever expanding, is ever metastasizing. And it has done so in every single one of Republicans who vote with him on policies that maim and hurt. And in this case, putting this judge on the circuit court, one that many believe if for some reason Trump were to get another judge to put on to the court, it would be Bovee, because he's another sycophant that is willing not to abide by precedent, but to actually do as he pleases. This is why your vote matters, folks. This is why you should never, ever say, I'm sitting this one out. Because the damage that we have done our country between 2016 and 2020, and between 2020, or rather, and now 2025 and beyond, the recovery from this, many won't live through the recovery. It is painful. It is a shame that we have this, but again, we can mitigate this by standing up, doing what we have to do, talking to our people, talking to our friends, talking to our foes, and letting folks understand that this isn't a us against them. This is all of us against a plutocracy who pretty much seeds, SEEDS, hate and dissension. They seed the farm with hate and dissension. We cannot continue like this and remain a country. We have got to disregard the indoctrinated till we have the time to help them out of their stupor. But in the interim, it is imperative that we go ahead and break bread with everyone, and restore what this guy has destroyed, and then work towards who we say that we are, so that we can never have to say again, this is not who we are. Because right now, my dear brothers and sisters, this is who we are. Yeah, this is who we are. Tom C., thank you for becoming a member of our program, my brother. Thank you so kindly. You're a great guy. A member of, so Tom is actually a member of both our newsletter portion as well as our YouTube portion. You're a wonderful guy. Thank you, brother Tom. All right, let me just say this, okay? And I want to say this. One of the reasons I played that entire, by the way, Booker had spoken before, and he said some other very smart things before. But why I wanted to point that out is I wanted to show you that as Booker is making some true statements, some necessary statements, as far as Republicans were concerned, it was business as usual. as far as Republicans were concerned, what Booker was talking was just white noise, no interest whatsoever. They're completely under the spell of the direction that they know they want to carry the country, and that is towards that oligarchy, that is towards that autocracy, etc. They know what they want to do, and their eyes are on the ball. The Republican eyes are on the ball. Don't just think this is MAGA versus all of that. Get that out of your mind. The conservative methodology, we know what it is. It is to drown government, as they've told you many times. Drown the government, drown it. And the idea is a complete country where the private sector, the private corporations take care of everything. So they break everything in government. They break Social Security. They break Medicaid. They break everything. And as you pay, what they want, what their belief in government is the following. And I want you guys to listen well. Their belief in government is that the only purpose of the government is to be the collector of taxes from the poor and the middle class to give to the private sector to provide the services to you. So the idea ultimately will be privatize bus services, privatize transportation, privatize health, privatize FAA, privatize the Medicare, privatize everything. And privatization of everything means I skim off everything that you give me. I skim it all and I get a piece of it all. And we give you what we feel we should to ensure that we can continue to make a profit and bonuses, etc. That's the country conservatism is all about. No real government. The only thing they want government for: collect taxes and fight wars. And why do they want to fight wars? The fight in the wars keep the defense industrial complex building bombs and making profits for people. Why else do they want to do wars? Because if we want to exploit the countries around the world to get their raw materials, we need a strong military to be out there. We need a strong military that can make sure when we go ahead and try to get bauxite from Jamaica, that they don't have a chance but to say yes. That when we go to Afghanistan and say we're going to take those rare earths, they can't compete with our bombs. When we go to Saudi Arabia and they can't compete and say we can't have your oil. But there are always some kinks. Iran was some kinks. Iran was too strong of a people. They forgot about the Ottoman Empire and they forgot about all these things, right? America, there are two Americas. There is the America that we write about, that we idolize. There's America the beautiful, oh beautiful, for spacious skies, right? That's the America that we think about. But the America that run things are the plutocrats who are out there looking at all of us, everybody that's hearing my voice, everybody that's seeing me right now. The America that those fascists see, they see you as a cog. You are nothing but a widget. You are nothing but a widget to allow them to make a profit. You are when I talk about we are all antiseptic slaves now, I am not saying that to be delusional. I am not saying that to be what's that word? To be not apoplectic. I'm not saying that to be overblown. You are an antiseptic slave. If you are watching me right now, no matter what you may think of yourself, right? They allow you to think of people that look like me, or people that look like Manuel Torres, or people that look like they want you to believe like, yeah, at least you're not them. We are part of the God bless America. Well, you know who's going to see a whole lot of what taken from the poor and going to the rich is? The MAGA base going to see a whole lot of that. I got a message for you. This I was going through, going through my having fun, going through my TikTok, and came across this guy, Dr. Jim. Let me see if I can get Dr. Jim onto the screen because I want you guys to listen to Dr. Jim. Dr. Jim has something to say. Check this out.
Tolerate is being lectured to by a bunch of people who can't make it through the alphabet without getting help and burst blood vessels in their freaking eyes because they struggle to figure out what 2 + 2 is. So when you're making political comments like this, let's leave it to the people that actually know what they're talking about. And why don't you stay in your lane and focus on working up to reading books that don't have pictures in it. Now, I'm going to actually address this comment for you and all of your toothless potato friends, and we're going to work through a historical timeline that breaks down what Republicans have been doing for decades that leads us to situations like this that end up being completely mismanaged. So let's start with the big turd sandwich of a bill that was just passed. Ted Cruz, before he went on his Greek vacation, voted against a provision in that bill that would have provided additional aid for early warning services that would have impacted his state and other states like his, so that they could be alerted when things like this happen. He voted against it, putting his constituency at risk. And when he was called out on it in a press conference, he whined like the little bitch that he is that we shouldn't play politics with this stuff. That is what is typical of the Republican Party. Now, when you take it beyond Ted Cruz, Texas has been under Republican control for nearly 30 years. So the idea that these spineless, brainless, heartless morons point the finger at Democrats for things that they're doing to their own state just blows my mind. You don't think that there's a relationship between the fact that red states, when you look at the poorest states in the U.S., 14 out of the top 16 poorest states are red states. When you look at 48 out of the 50 poorest counties in the country, those are red counties in red states. You don't see the trend there? Republicans have been robbing you blind, and yet you are too stupid to realize that you're being screwed over by the same people that are on the take for billionaires. So that's just some recent history. But let's take a look at the specific events or specific legislation related to Texas and these floods. Texan legislators, specifically in the county, had 2 opportunities to put in infrastructure that would have provided early warning services. They had the opportunity under Biden, under the Build Back Better Act, and they refused because it was communism. And then they had the opportunity in 2016, before the Trump administration took over, to use some FEMA disaster relief funds that were allocated under the Obama administration, but they felt that their time was better spent making fun of Obama than protecting their citizens. This is why your racism is extremely expensive. That racism leads to poor educational outcomes that keep you people stupid and allow you to be manipulated by the billionaire class that owns the Republican Party. So you've had 2 different instances to mitigate the risks of these situations, and your citizenry and your elected officials have refused to take the necessary action. This is a pattern of behavior. Since the Reagan administration, there has been a $50 trillion transfer of wealth from the bottom 90% to the top 1%. And that happens in a lot of overt and covert ways. The most overt way that this happens is through the tax cuts for billionaires plan that has been a hallmark of Republican policies. And what happens when it comes to passing those tax cuts? Passing those tax cuts usually requires gutting regulatory agencies, gutting the social safety net, and making everything miserable for the bottom 90%. That allows for the billionaire class and the millionaire class to take what is yours for pennies on the dollar. The Republican Party is building the billionaire class on the backs of the working class and the poor. And you morons, you toothless freaking morons, fall for it over and over again. And I'm saying this as somebody who was more right-wing aligned in my 20s, but I actually paid attention and called and actually researched the stuff that I was being told by people who were left of center, and lo and behold, what they said was right. So here's my challenge to you and all of your other potato brain toothless idiot friends of yours. I dare you to disprove a single thing that I said here and bring receipts, because what you will find is that every single thing that I said is true, and maybe, just maybe, you and your moron friends will realize who is really bending you over while they're pointing the finger at everybody else. Thanks for attending my TED Talk. Sit the hell down and shut up. The last thing that
Now, as you guys know, I don't quite address people that way, but every now and then I think sometimes that is necessary. And when he came across the feed today, I'm like, wow, that's true. That's true. We all know that. We speak about that every day. We talk about this every day. But it just felt good to hear somebody who once was a MAGA type. This guy once was a MAGA type that says, you know what? I started to listen. And just maybe, Ruddin wants me to read the first comment, which says, stop trying to explain things to stupid. All right. But my answer to that is always, we need to get to the ones who are reachable. Guess what? This brother here that made these comments, he was once one of them. And again, like I've said many a times, many of them have a brain. It's a matter of getting to the brain at the right time, and somebody got to his, and we have to get to a lot more of them. So I brought this on for two reasons. One, it was refreshing to have him speak the way he spoke, given that I will not use those adjectives when I'm talking to my fold, you know. After all, I wrote, It's Worth It How to Talk to Your Right Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors. But every now and then, that kind of a oomph, I think, is needed. And Dr. Jim, I think you did a good job in doing just that. Brother Magner is on the line. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Talk to me, brother.
Hey, I was just going to reinforce that video. I enjoyed that guy's rant. I worked in Kerr County for TxDOT for on and off for a while. That is a very rich area. And before I get to that, you don't have to believe this guy because there's viral video of the board at Kerr County discussing whether or not to take $10 million from Biden, and they said they're not going to because I don't trust him, which didn't make any sense at all.
You know, I played that video, right? I played it for you guys about 3 or 4 days ago.
Okay, I guess I missed it. A lot of times I'm in the truck driving.
I know.
But I appreciate you sharing that with everybody. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the people that live in Kerr County. In Kerrville, that's where multimillionaires buy multi-million-dollar homes to paste them on the high side of a hill so that they can look down on everybody. And when I was doing work on the highway there's a pretty nice sized airport there, but it is an airport that you can just drive into. There's no security or anything. But what was really interesting to me was about every 2 or 3 hours a private jet lands there, a different one.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of money that's in that county. And then there was another area where we were working on the side of the road, and the guy had a storage unit. It looked like he built it himself, and he had them open, and there's several different old Rolls Royces in there, Ferrari. I mean, he had a collection of about 10 different cars that would total more money than I'll make in my lifetime. And again, those are the type of people that said, I don't want to pay the taxes for a warning system.
It is shameful, right? I mean, they don't mind taking all the tax cut that they make us pay for, but they don't want. I mean, and you know what? The funny thing about it is, the truth of the matter is, one of those millionaires that live up in those hills in that area, because I'm very familiar with that area. You know, we'd go to Lake Buchanan, which is close by as well. Lake Buchanan, Lake Travis, and all these guys on the Colorado River near. And again, yeah, they have. I mean, they even have palaces on the side of some of those hills, and
Oh yeah, I
it
mean
is just shameful.
that's where a lot of people that don't work for a living like to go and spend their time, and those houses you're looking at probably aren't the only house they own, but they can't
Exactly,
pay taxes.
exactly, exactly. And I
That's
mean,
all.
we
That's all I wanted to add.
well, I'm
But
glad you called in to point that out, my friend. And people need to know that. Thank you so kindly, Patrick. Anything else?
no, sir. You have a great day.
You too. All right, folks. Anybody else want to call in before I go to the other video? It's 281-823-7747. Again, it is 281-823-7747. Eric, I think you should go ahead on your own and listen to that message again that Dr. Jim had to say, because there's nothing there. Let me tell you something. Rich envy? No. Let me tell you something. Dignity is important. I want to tell you something. I know so many people, myself included, if we were the immoral type who actually believe more in capital than in humanity, in capital than taking advantage of people, we would be there. But there's a certain psychopathy about that. Let me give an example. Let me give an example. If you have $1 billion, you likely could never spend that money. But not only could you not spend that money, you never earned it. Your billion came from the excess labor of everybody else. Bill Gates, one of the reasons he doesn't mind giving away all his billions is he knows the truth. But he knows that's how the capitalist system works. But these guys can't earn that money. All the money these guys earn is money you earned for them. Did Bill Gates have a good idea? Bill Gates had a great marketing idea, but everything created for Microsoft was created by a lot of other people. Okay? Not even MS-DOS, the simplest operating system. By the way, I wrote MTask for MS-DOS that turned it into a multitasking system. But even MS-DOS wasn't by Bill Gates. He went and gave $50,000 because he had the means, he had the capital. He went and gave $50 million or so $50,000 to a Seattle company that, one of these bit bangers that just enjoyed writing code, and then license it to IBM, and that is what made him. When it comes to Jeff Bezos and his bookstore, all these look. When it comes to, I went to school, same school with Dell. I used to buy when Dell owned PCs Limited on Lamar Boulevard. I used to buy hard drive. I used to drive to Austin to buy hard drives and computer parts to build computers because I was making computers, building computers then when the PCs were multi-bus, all that kind of stuff. But like I've always told everybody, the billionaire class, you get invited into it. You don't get it on because you're such a great skilled person. I knew a lot of us who built computers, who brought things from Taiwan. I brought a whole lot of stuff from Taiwan. I made products for ComDRV in Taiwan. And here's the thing, people, you have to be invited into the club, right? And Brother Dell was invited into the club with investors, right? Somebody went to there and said, "Oh, okay, we'll start making all these computers," and it keeps growing and it grows. Look, it's not magic. And then those billions of dollars were made by all those other people who built those Dell computers, who built those other things. Well, one person capitalized on it by having what? Stocks and capital and stock options. In other words, not work. So when you hear Patrick says the people who are in Kerrville are people who don't have to work for a living, it is true. But then you have some of the folks in the chat, they're defending, and some hard workers in the chat or they're defending the people who take advantage of them. But you have to first be able to critically think to understand how you're actually being taken advantage of, right? John A. Davis says trickle down is a lie. This country did much better under Keynesian economic model. And what's so funny is even Reagan, when he got into trouble, used Keynesian on steroids. That's what budget deficits, along with expanding the military, along with giving welfare, etc. That's what Reagan eventually had to do. Keynesian economics, and it gave him the second best economy, only second to whom again? Clinton. Again, that I explained all of that in which book again? As I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. So folks, none of this stuff is assumptions or conjecture. All of this is stuff that if you want to read, if you want to critically think, you can find out. But as the brother said, and let me put his face back on the screen, as this brother said, you have to choose. And I'm going to use the word, but I'm going to use it a bit differently. You have to choose that you no longer want to be a moron. You have to choose that you notice I'm not calling anybody a moron or stupid. You have to choose that you no longer want to be stupid, that you no longer want to bend over and have these guys take advantage of you, that you will no longer acquiesce to being an antiseptic slave. That's what you have to do. I got one more video. I think I got time for it. Well, I don't really, but I'll play a piece of it and then I may have to cut it. But I want you to listen to this one. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is delusional, or is he? I mean, we know the Republicans have been doing some things that more than likely would cause any party in power to lose. We had the big, beautiful bill. That big, beautiful bill is going to cut Medicare, Medicaid. It's going to cut SNAP. It's going to cut a whole lot of things. And the thing about it is the people that get hurt the most are people in red states, people that voted for Donald Trump. A lot of it doesn't kick in until after the midterms, but quite a few preparations are going to be made or will have to be made before the midterms. And a lot of people are going to see those in actions. They're going to see that hospitals are closing at a faster clip. A hospital isn't going to wait till 2026 to close if it realizes that in 2026 it won't have a penny. They have to use some money to close the darn hospital, right? So a lot of these things are true. But let me tell you, Speaker Johnson, believes that this big, beautiful bill is going to create such economic activity that Americans are going to be so happy that they're going to do well. Tillis, of course, says that this may be, that is Senator Tom Tillis from North Carolina, that this will be their Obamacare. The only difference here, folks, is this. Obamacare was made to give people something, do something positive, make things better for people. That's what Obamacare represented. However, this big, beautiful bill is not giving anybody anything. It is taken away from the poor and the middle class to take that cash and give it to the wealthy. And it's even worse than that. But I tell you what, let's listen to the sureness or the perceived sureness in Speaker Johnson's voice. And then I have a few other things to say. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Mr. Speaker, quick question. What will the big, beautiful bill mean for the midterms?
Everything. This is a bill that was written for hardworking Americans, middle and lower class earners in particular. And they will feel the effects of that in the economy, and they'll have higher wages and more opportunity and more economic growth. And that's a major factor in a midterm election. And the border will be secure. We'll have American energy dominance going again. We'll be restoring peace through strength. And I think they'll reward us for that. So I wouldn't put any stake whatsoever in what Democrats are saying right now. Remember, they were assured that we were going to lose the majority last fall as well. We're going to pick up seats. We're going to flip Democrat seats. And we'll teach them once again they shouldn't underestimate us.
No concerns it'll cost you any seats?
No concerns at all. In fact, it's going to gain seats for us. We're that confident.
Good to be with you. I'm Katie Tur. That was Speaker Mike Johnson just 4 days after his party pushed through Donald Trump's tax and spend bill. And like any politician, certainly any politician worth his salt, Speaker Johnson is publicly spinning a very rosy picture. But privately, the enthusiasm among Republicans for this bill is much more muted. A new poll from The Economist and YouGov confirms what past polls have told us over and over again. Red, blue, and purple voters don't like it. 53% of Americans are opposed to it. In fact, just 35% say they support it. What makes it worse is that the hardcore Trump voters who will support the party seemingly no matter what aren't the most reliable during an election cycle that does not have Donald Trump on the top of the ballot. And that is what Republicans are already stressing about, so much so that the Wall Street Journal reports a political organization tied to House Republican leadership is now pouring millions of dollars into polling and advertising to fix their legislative marketing issues. Tony Fabrizio, Donald Trump's pollster, who just 3 months ago told Republicans that Trump voters and swing voters don't like slashing the safety net health program, is telling them that the path forward is to reframe the conversation, to talk more about the popular stuff. Here's the thing, though. The popular stuff might not be enough to drown out the bad stuff, the not so popular stuff, the stuff North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis says he's tried to warn President Trump about.
Some way we need to fix it. Otherwise, I told the president, I really do believe it could be his Obamacare.
Because of the promise that he made that was not true, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor.
And now it's like, if you like Medicaid and you're eligible, you can keep it. That's fundamentally untrue, because the funding mechanisms are probably going to take people who are eligible for it off of it over time, or it's going to create an enormous unfunded mandate on the states in a time frame that they can't absorb.
Here is the thing. There are so many headwinds that are ready to hit America. We have to remember that these tariffs that are placed on, it's not the foreign companies or the foreign countries paying for these tariffs. It's the businesses who are importing these products that are paying the tariffs. And as such, they pass those costs on to you, all of us. And what that means is we have less money to buy an extra burger, an extra piece of bread, an extra toy or whatever. And what does that represent? A fall in economic activity a fall in economic activity. And the reason I wanted to get that little piece out of my rhetoric there was because of the following. This guy purports himself to be a man of God. And he looked straight into that camera and said, this is a bill for the poor and the working class. The biggest lie. In other words, all the monies, the cuts from Medicaid, etc., is going to affect the poor and the middle class. And the reason they had to cut that money is to give that money to the wealthy folks. That's one thing. But it's worse, because when he says there's going to be more economic activity, when he knows that the president has imposed a whole lot of tariffs or will be imposing a lot of tariffs onto our economy, and that tariffs will reduce the spending power of every single American, that is yet another way they're taking money away from you. But he is lying, and there are people, included many in the chat that I'm seeing, that they purport to be critical thinkers that buy it. But you know what? This guy says it all. If you take a look at the people who buy it, who really buy this, there's always as well a tinge of all the isms in them. They want to make sure that people of a certain hue simply gets nothing from government. They are of the belief that it's those other people that are getting things from government. And they will turn themselves into knots to convince themselves that the reason that they will accept these lies, the reason they will accept all of this is because of economic reasons. Dr. Jim said it well. Get out of your racism. Understand. I told you guys about 3 shows ago. 3 shows ago, I told you guys this. Racism hits white people a lot harder than it hit black, brown, Asian, or anybody else. And there are 2 reasons why. People that are considered to be minorities are used to being badly treated, are used to getting less, are used to all those things already. But 2, the people that hurts you the most are the people in power that have the power to take your bread out of your child's mouth, that has the power to take away your health care, that has the power to take away your child care, that has the power to do these things. And they are doing it to you. And they don't look anything like the people, those same people that are taking those things away from you, have told you to fear, have lied to you and told you that these are the ones taking things away from you. Ultimately speaking, the reason we are in this conundrum right now, ultimately, it has nothing to do with economy, has nothing to do with anything else but straight out racism. And when we acknowledge that, when we have people that can put that in front of us, like Dr. Jim said, like I am telling you now, when we get over that, we will be able to get that equitable society where people are really judged by the work they are able to do and not those that they are able to exploit. But you have to first take the blinders off and see things the way they really are. I got to get out of here because it is 4 o'clock. I want to thank all of you for listening to the program. But before I go, of course, I need to make my ask. If we are truth tellers here, we make sure to get this stuff out. But to do this, we have to stay funded. The government doesn't fund us. Nobody funds us but you. And the way we do that in this program is via our newsletter. And if you become a paid subscriber of our newsletter, all the books that I've written, all these books, you will be able to read on Substack, on our newsletter. And I guarantee you will learn a lot from these books. So if you go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, you don't only get to read our books online, but we try to have different perks for you as time goes on. So please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and become a paid subscriber of Politics Done Right. You will be ensuring that you help us do the work to deprogram those that can be deprogrammed. Now, we have a couple in the chat here that will never be deprogrammed. Please go ahead and become paid subscribers. It's one of the best investments. It's inexpensive, and you will be doing a good deed for the entire country. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. You guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Oh, I got a call, so let me take it real quick, and then I'll go. All right, caller, you got 15 seconds to tell me because the show is about to end. 15 seconds. Caller? All right, I guess not. All right, folks, here we go. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right, I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.